Welcome back to Becoming Badass. I'm your host, Phoenix. Today we're going to talk about why we struggle with perfectionism and how it's running your life and ruining your life. I'm going to share a personal example of how I had to ignore my perfectionist tendencies and what I did instead to do that was completely out of my comfort zone, and how I went from extreme perfectionist to believing in myself and my capabilities. And a powerful tool that's going to help you learn to see yourself differently. Stop being so hard and critical of yourself, and stop letting perfectionism control you and run your life. Let's get into this. This podcast is going to help you learn how to stop playing small, people-pleasing, overgiving, and being too nice, and find yourself to start living authentically and become the truest, freest, most badass version of yourself.
Perfectionism is just a strategy to keep ourselves safe. And what it really is fear. It's fear running your life, and then perfectionism is the behaviors that you're doing to try to control the outcome and not ever feel rejected, abandoned, not liked, not wanted, not approved of. But when fear is running your life is going to suck. And one huge thing I noticed on this journey from being a perfectionist to now being able to freely be myself is I had to be on all the time. I wasn't spontaneous ever. I couldn't just sit back and enjoy what was happening in front of me because I was so afraid unconsciously of what could happen. And I always felt this very rigid, heavy feeling in my body. I could never just relax and let life happen organically, however it happens. Instead, I had to be on all the time. I had to show up in a certain way that was perfect and would keep me safe and get me the outcome that I wanted, which was to be liked, approved of, not ever feel rejected, and make others happy. This was a high cost on my mental health and emotional health.
I never felt good. I never was able to relax. I was always expecting myself to meet this standard and show up as how I was taught to show up, meeting these expectations and these requirements. And I was living out of obligation, which wasn't living at all. And it's literally light and day how I feel now, being able to completely be free to be myself, let life happen organically, not worrying about the outcome, and being able to believe in myself no matter what I'm facing, and just have faith that no matter what happens, I'll be okay, versus being stuck in the role of a perfectionist, never being able to relax and have to control everything. Perfectionism is such a killer of our own happiness and doing the things that we're called here to do that actually bring you joy and happiness. By trying to hit this impossible standard, and it's this constant pressure and expectations they place on themselves or environment may be placing on them. And when we are living this way, you will never feel good enough because perfection is the only acceptable outcome. When we start learning that perfectionism isn't even possible, we start living our lives from a more flexible, compassionate, and kinder place, and we start treating ourselves way better, and we can actually hope to find happiness. So if our only way to find happiness is through getting approval and being liked and getting our worth and our enoughness and our deservedness from being a perfectionist, there's no way to be happy because you'll always be chasing that outcome. And I'm here to tell you, as an ex-perfectionist, big time, that it's just not possible. And you're throwing your life away. You can't be happy trying to be perfect. You will never meet this goal. And you'll always be feeling not good enough and bad about yourself. And it's just a way to keep ourselves safe. We may have learned as a child that we had to be perfect to be deserving, worthy, wanted by others. But it's just a big, fat lie. I am sometimes plagued by thoughts of, what's the right way to do this? I can't do this the wrong way. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to fail. It's our ego's way of never stepping outside of our comfort zone and never experiencing the fear and the uncertainty and the unknown and the possible threat that your mind thinks could happen when it strays away from this comfort zone. It perceives it's so threatening that it will trick you to staying small. And these thoughts are paralyzing. This is really what I figured out from many, many years of struggling with this. There is no right way to do something. There's the way that is right for you, the way that works for you. And you will figure it out as you go. And once you develop the rock solid belief in yourself and your own capabilities and know that you can handle anything. And if you don't know how to handle it, you will figure it out. That takes tremendous confidence, security, and belief in yourself to be able to do this. And knowing if I mess up or do something wrong or fail, there's a lesson in there I need to learn to get better. Maybe I need to develop a new skill. Maybe I need to refine my way of doing something. But it's all to help me be successful. Our expectations and impossible to meet standards and those that may have been placed upon us in our environment and from our loved ones to be a perfectionist. It will keep us imprisoned. I learned as a kid that if I was perfect, I would be safe. If I was perfect, then I wouldn't be hurt. If I was perfect, I was acceptable. But I was born acceptable and valuable and deserving and enough. I don't have to try to earn that through the things I do, through how I live my life, through trying to be perfect. And it's really the biggest trap, perfectionism, because that will bring up so much fear of failure, because that will prevent you from doing what you were called and made to do in this life, your purpose. Because fears of failing and doing it wrong and not getting it perfect, and I have to figure this out first before I try this, will keep you from writing that book, from going after that relationship you want, from doing whatever it is you dream of. So we have to realize this is just fear-driven behavior in order to get to where you want to go. In order to actually make that dream a reality, you're going to have to grow and broaden your comfort zone. It's just going to have to happen, and it's going to be uncomfortable and awkward and weird and scary. And when this happens, say, yeah, Phoenix told me this would happen. I'm telling you it's going to happen. And just be ready for it. Because when you're ready for it, then you know how to handle it. When you're surprised, it's a lot more challenging. You'd be so much more anxious. But if you're like, yeah, I know this is going to happen, I'm going to be prepared for it, it's a lot easier to know how to deal with it. Instead of letting it take over and control your life and prevent you from being who you're meant to be and what you're meant to be doing. And let me give you an example. So, starting a podcast, I did not know how to do it. I've had a YouTube channel for a while, and I knew how to do that. But in order to do this, I had to have the belief in myself that I'm going to learn how to do this, damn it. And I'm not going to let it scare me or be overwhelming or feel like I got to do it the right way. And I have to figure out everything first before I do it. That will keep you not moving forward for years or maybe even the rest of your life with those types of thoughts. You have to realize, oh, this is just my perfectionism rearing its ugly ass head. I don't have to listen to it. And notice, okay, thank you, mind. Thank you. I understand you're just trying to keep me safe, but I'm going to do this anyways. I want a life that's fulfilling. I want a life that brings me joy and happiness. And that's not going to happen if I keep listening to you. Because guess what? Perfectionism is impossible. And then laugh at it. Laugh at that voice. You could even make it like a tiny little minion in your head. A tiny little monster that's trying to control you to keep you safe. My little monster was a very rigid, controlling version of myself. And what I did is I separated it from who I am. It's this thing in my head that I'm detached from, and I see it, oh, that's my perfectionism. It isn't me. And it's funny to actually create it in your mind as something that is laughable. Maybe it has a really squeaky voice, and it stomps its feet, and it says, people are going to laugh at you. People aren't going to like it. No one's going to care. They're going to think it's stupid. And isn't that a lot more funny than thinking this is who you are? It's not. It's just an aspect of you. And you don't need to let it control you and take over your life. And whenever perfectionism rears its ugly head, You can be like, oh, yeah, visualize that little monster in your head and then say, thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I got this. I believe in myself. I know I'll figure this out. I believe in my capabilities and skills. And when you get to that amazing place, no one can take that from you. To have that rock solid confidence, faith, and belief in yourself. It's just a beautiful place to be. Thank you for being here. And if you're ready to start prioritizing yourself, then check out my cheat sheet below that's going to teach you how to start prioritizing your own happiness and becoming the main character in your life. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate you. You can become the badass you were always meant to be, punch fear in the face, and live life on your terms. Till next time.